Welcome, my fellow humans and non-human kind. Just came back from my night shift at Fred's Burger Cafe, which was kinda boring. Kinda wish something more interesting would happen. But that does remind me of a franchise of a pizza place called Pandore's Pan Pizza Palace. Sorry, that tune gets stuck in my mind. But this also reminds me of Five Nights at Freddy's, the franchise. I gotta thank Five Nights at Freddy's to allow me to make myself a horror fanatic. It's like how many kids back in the day, got interested in horror with Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark being a toned down version of what horror is. In some cases, it's actually competes really well. But, the point is, it eased them into the horror before they got into the real big boy horrors. What struck a chord with me of horror stories and movies and stuff is the storytelling, I really liked how certain things will work, like, oh, it's a creature, that came from this place, and it could do this and that. Or like, oh, in this universe, ghosts, they can only do this, but they can't do that. But in this movie, they could do that. And so, from cool ghosts, wicked killers, tall creatures, simple ideas of the undead rising from the grave, I gotta thank Five Nights at Freddy's for allowing me to enter such a wonderful genre. Thank you, FNAF. So, Five Nights at Freddy's, what is it? It's a game, but, basically, the franchise got its popularity amongst the horror community for its interesting take of storytelling by making the story very hard to understand. At this point, we have this point of recording, I shall say, we got the first 4 games: FNAF World, Sister Location, Pizzeria Simulator, Ultimate Custom Night, Help Wanted, Special Delivery, and coming soon, Security Breach, and a bunch of books, graphic novels, short story collection books, an activity book, some lore books, and we still don't have the definitive version of the story to tell. I really do love the series, but I could tell a sudden shift in the franchise. It's not a bad shift, but it feels different. I believe the first 4 games was able to tell the whole story, and maybe, I guess, FNAF World could squeeze in there, because it kind of expanded the first 4 games, sort of. I'm not sure where it goes, actually, now I'm thinking about it. But, after those games, it expanded into a much broader story, a new story, that just happens to include the first 4 games in it. The first 4 games I classify as the golden era of Five Nights at Freddy's. They felt like a spooky story about dead children in a pizzeria and a killer on the loose. Well, not loose later, but you get the point. And the other games, became all sci-fi with this remnant of being scooped up of haunted metal and put together to make new robots, and robot inside a human skin suit and a character called the Stitch Wraith that's powered by agony, emotion, It's not a bad thing, it's just a different thing. Also, we got like VR involved, and companies and indie game developers, and some people leaking fluids out of their eyes, and AI corrupting individuals and whatnot. Dude, if you explain this franchise to someone that somewhat knows and explain the whole picture, I think it might blow their minds. So I'm just gonna give a brief explanation of the first 4 games and what I enjoyed about them. So, Five Nights at Freddy's, the first one. You're a security guard who spends 7 nights at a Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria location. So you're a guard with the ability to check his office cameras, and as well as turn on the lights to your left and right and close the doors on the left and right to protect yourself. Your guide is this guy on the phone known as the Phone Guy by the community, but then later became his official name, which it's pretty cool. And we learned that this pizzeria is housed by these 4 animatronic characters, and they may get a bit quirky at night, and it's up to you to defend yourself and not letting these quirky animatronics make their way into your office. So, a pretty well-known fact that I'm still gonna say anyways because I feel obligated for some weird reason. The creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, Scott Cawthon, was a simple, game designer who made simple games His previous games before Five Nights at Freddy's, were some interesting ones, but one of them to note is Chipper and Sons Lumber Co. Lumber Co. The game didn't do well, and one of the reviewers was like, "Man, some of these characters look like creepy animatronics." And that gave Scott the idea to make a horror game with animatronics, and started off out okay, until YouTube covered the game and the rest is history. The game is very simplistic and quite fun, actually. I really love it for that reason. You're just in an office with, four animatronics, well, maybe five if you count that guy, and then six if you count the endoskeleton. Well, animatronics, just want to get in your office, and you don't want that to happen since you're most likely gonna die. You got your cameras, to spot them, slow some down, lights to see if they're nearby, the doors to protect you. And, yeah, it's pretty fun and simple. I really like it for that reason. Okay, a little bit off script, but I gotta tell you a quite interesting story. So, only once in my life I ever went to these Chuck E. Cheese locations. I remember it was long ago. I was a child, and my aunt wanted to, take me there for some reason. I don't know. I guess she was being nice, so I went along with it, and it was interesting experience. I mean, the pizza kind of tasted like generic, but I don't know. I didn't mind. I just want to be appreciative, And I remember seeing those singing animatronic characters in the background. I was like, yeah, I don't want to sit near that. No. Let me sit somewhere away from that. I remember my aunt suggested to sit nearby them. I was like, no. And I don't know. I mean, when I was younger, I guess those spooked me, but as an older individual, I don't know. I'm quite fascinated with robotics, so yeah, that's pretty cool. But I just had to throw that in there for people to know, because I don't think this is I don't think I'll ever get an opportunity to talk about this story. So yeah, that's just perfect game, great, design and stuff, and it's quite challenging, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, let's move on. Mr. Dweller, sir, what's stopping you from just, leaving the doors closed and being protected? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Is that Bobby? No, that's Jake. Oh, it's you. You see, the doors, the lights and the cameras use up power, and you don't want to overuse it, because then it's game over. You're gonna get game ended by Freddy Fazbear himself, and honestly, that's a pretty cool game design aspect that I almost forgot to mention. Thanks, you. Also, the reason why the animatronics want to harm you to mass discomfort is because basically 5 children went missing, and turns out they were stuffed into the suits of the animatronic characters and now alive. We got Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, which I thought was a duck honestly at first, Foxy the Pirate Fox, also the secret Golden Freddy, and which are the 4, not the 4, my counting skills are gone downhill, but the 5 characters all have a dead child inside, and my goodness, if this was real, that would be creepy. Also, Golden Freddy was such, and still is, one of the Five Nights at Freddy's biggest mysteries. People are still arguing about many things about them. So, Five Nights at Freddy's came out on YouTube, and it became, YouTube-worthy and internet fame-worthy for, well, not just normal amounts of it. So, it was natural for it to obtain itself a sequel. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, The Electric Boogaloo, and man, I could tell you, this is when Five Nights at Freddy's was at its peak. This is when most of the knowledge of the story came from at the time, and as well as that, the game had this gimmick, well, not gimmick, but this thing they, tried to advertise was, in the first game, you had doors. In the sequel, you got no doors. I remember that being such a big deal back in the day, but now it's not. But, yeah. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Electric Boogaloo came out. So, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, The Electric Boogaloo has 4 toy animatronics, Balloon Boy, the Puppet, 5 weather animatronics, 2 shadow animatronics, 1 new endoskeleton, and JJ. Man, that's a lot of new characters for a sequel. You know, it's quite expanded, the roster. And that's not all. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the Electric Boogaloo added the Violet Man. Wait, that's not it. The Plum Man. Lavender Man? Oh, wait. The Purple Man. Yeah, new challengers approaching. Enter the Purple Man. The man behind the murders of the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. The reason why the animatronics are possessed is because, you know, it's the Purple Man. You know, it's his doing. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is more chaotic than the first game, with, you know, 11 ways that you could die, and I guess 12 if you count the crashing game, and anyways, a lot of ways to die, and also it has 7 nights just like the first game, so these should be called 1 week of Freddy's. Am I right, fellas? What's groovy about Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is actually finding out that it's a prequel. The trailer and the teasers made it seem like it's going to be a direct sequel, and I like it. Also, I love the designs of the Wither animatronics. I would freak out if whether Bonnie or whether Chica were real and approaching you. It's cool also hearing their voices in Ultimate Custom Night. They got one of my favorite voices out there with Bonnie's robotic stuff and Chica's ventilation sounding voice. It's pretty cool. So, Five Nights at Freddy's 3, The Black Sheep. I think this game is the people don't like, and this is actually one of my favorite game for many reasons. So, it takes place 30 years after the first game. If we do the math and calculate some minimum wages and stuff, we could conclude that Five Nights at Freddy's 3 most likely takes place in the year 2023. Man, time does fly. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 takes place in the future, and it takes place in this cool horror attraction with a very groovy setting, you know? I kind of want to see like an auction house, a freak show, or a museum as a new location, but the horror attraction will have to do, and this is pretty good. So, due to those rumors of children going missing, bite victims, weird behaviors of robots, etc., Freddy Fazbear's closed down, of course, but Fazbear's Fright opened as a horror attraction to draw in those people who grew up with the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzas franchise, with the whole, ooh, it's a mysterious place, you know, come join our place. We have many relics from the past, except a real one. So we play as this guard, you know, again, you know, it's all of them have been new guards so far, or they could be the same one under a different name, but that's theory territory, not gonna go there yet. But so we got this other character that's been dubbed the Phone Dude, which honestly I miss the Phone Dude. You know, he's been called the Phone Dude by the community, but I don't think that's his official name as of yet. But man, you only hear him for 2 days, the first 2 days, and then boop, he disappears. Man, I really do miss Phone Dude. Where's Phone Dude? You know. Anyways, so Phone Dude goes to a long time ago, in a pizzeria not too far away. Oh, he doesn't go in time, but, you know, you get what I'm saying. He goes somewhere far. Well, maybe it's close, but point is, he finds another Fazbear location, and this one guy is like, hey, dude, there's like a secret room and stuff. I can open that up. It's hollow. And the guy's like, oh, let's open up, man. And then, yeah, so Phone Dude and this guy exposes hollow section of a Fazbear location, and the first night, you know, you don't deal with any animatronics because, you know, Phone Dude hasn't found anything. But second night, that's when things get real. The Phone Dude has found one, a real one, and now you're trapped with an animatronic in the building, just you and him, a personal battle between the two of you. Which, honestly, that's why I kind of like this game a lot. And also because, you know, they don't want to make it, oh, just one animatronic out there. There's, like, these phantoms that can't kill you, but they mess with your technical equipment. They're, like, hallucinations, you know, but not too biggie. So let me get this out of the way. Springtrap is my favorite character. You know, his suit's rotting, his exposed bones and flesh are there. You can see a skull underneath his headpiece, and it's really cool, especially when you get those cool rare loading screens of him exposing his face, the way he poses, the way he walks, him being one of the first characters that can move right in front of you. Let me tell you, many people were freaked out when Springtrap or Phantom Freddy moved right in front of you, because back then, movement wasn't a thing in the FNAF games, unless you count Fox. Yeah, Foxy was the first one to move, yeah, technically, but when he moved, it's because he was going to attack you. Man, those were the simple times. So you might be wondering, bone, flesh, skull, and boy, this is a groovy plot twist. So throughout each night, we get this 8-bit minigame explaining what happened. So apparently the purple guy, the man behind the poggers, the man behind the slaughter, destroyed the 4 main animatronics from the first game and ended up letting the spirits of the children, free, as well as the 5th one, which most likely is Golden Freddy, So they just gang up on Purple Man, and he decides to go inside a Springlock costume, which is an animatronic that doubles an animatronic and suits. So basically you could wear it or set it to robot mode to entertain children, to help not break the immersion of the pizzeria. You don't want like a Mickey Mouse mascot to look different than the robot Mickey Mouse character, it will break immersion. So why not have it as both? And yeah, it's a pretty cool, smart idea. Except the purple guy, when he's in there, there's a spring lock failure, which while he's inside the suit, the robot parts slide back in, and now he's all twitchy and bleeding and dying of mass discomfort. All twitchy and stuff. And then he's sealed up for many years. And, he wasn't let out until the phone dude and the one guy that understands the blueprints around the area, let him free. And that's pretty groovy, We got a killer who possesses a suit and now he's on the loose. That's a cool villain. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 only has 6 nights, which is kind of surprising because we've been at the 1 week at Freddy's thing for quite a while, but I guess to break the mold. The game is simple, and my favorite boy, Springtrap is there, being the main thread, and the whole idea of him being the only thread, it's pretty cool, and as well as freeing the children who possess the suits, and I think Golden Freddy get his happiest day. This could have honestly been a good way to end the whole series. Then Five Nights at Freddy's 4 teasers were posted. And what is that? Okay, so Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was being hyped with these pictures of the nightmare animatronics. And it was a lot of them had "Was it me?" and as well as 87, all the pictures and source code, and man, we thought we were gonna find out who the Bite of 87 animatronic was. Spoiler alerts, or not, since you kind of had to go out of your way to piece the story together, because this is most likely the game that showed off the Bite of 83. Man, I don't know, that kind of bugs me a teensy tiny bit, but eh. Five Nights at Freddy's 4's jump scares actually make me jump the most. Horror games / movies don't make me scream often. It's very rare, but this is the game that makes me push back. Especially since you gotta hear, the animatronics breathing, so you can now defend yourself or not. And that's kind of really hard to do, It's like you're trying to hear any ounce of sound, and then sounds. I can't do the sound effects. But yeah. Anyways, the animatronics, the nightmare animatronics look wicked. I love the designs. And also, this sort of is the first appearance of Fredbear in the game. We got more story that kind of changed everything, and man, every time I think of Five Nights at Freddy's lore, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is the one that Omega yeets out many of the facts I have throughout the window. There's so many questions about this game, I'll just list off a few questions, not all of them, that were, caused by Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Who was the girl's bedroom? Is the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 nights a real night or a dream? Are we a bite victim or some experimental kid during the gameplay segment? What do we see? Who's that girl? Why is there purple guy here? Are we his son? Are we someone else's son? Why can the plush talk? Why is Tiny Toy Chica's beak missing? Missing. It was the whole series a dream? Is Golden Freddy or the second purple guy? Or who are we? What's that? Are we important to the story? And most importantly, what's in the box? Man, Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is the final chapter of the original series, but it sure made things much more confusing. But yeah, that's the first 4 games of the original series. This is where the series kind of branched off, from the books, FNAF Worlds, the new games, the announcement of a movie, which is pretty cool to hear. I could talk about the other games some other time. I got a soft spot for the first 4 games, and I love seeing the amazing fan art, the fan games, and all those sweet theories of this franchise. Before I go, I just want to say, I got myself a little mini theory that I've been thinking about it for quite a while, so I just thought, this is a good opportunity to get it out there. Five Nights at Freddy's 1, their sister location are fake, and the rest of the games are real within the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. Maybe not AR. I don't know. I haven't encountered that part yet. But, okay. So, hear me out. In Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, we find out that Fazbear Entertainment hired an indie developer, which is, made, the FNAF games all of a sudden, it was kind of a big lore drop. And I think, with the information we have, we could conclude that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 through 6 location have some truth to it, but there's some details that could be a bit off due to it being made by an indie developer, not the actual historical events written down. When Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator came out, one thing people wondered was, what happened to Springtrap? Why does he look different? Scott Cawthon doesn't make a whole new model for no reason. Also, the credits, it doesn't go by Springtrap. Instead, it goes by just William Afton. Fans call him Scrap Trap, but we could see there are many differences out there. The suit is different, the skull is different, and this is not the same Springtrap, as Springtrap was designed by the indie game developer in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, and this is probably how Springtrap looked the whole time. Also, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, all the content of the first 4 games, and even with the DLC, nothing from that goes past Sister Location. We got, baby animatronics reference, Ennard, but nothing past that. We don't see Molten Freddy and whatnot, and yeah. In my theory, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria Simulator, Ultimate Custom Night, and soon to be out Security Breach are all real in the Freddy Fazbear universe. Everything else is made by the indie game developer, quote unquote, and some parts of the developer's interpretation of the events that happened. Also, I just want to point out this fact that there's a character called Dark Springtrap, and he's real. Yeah, that one Dark Springtrap that got a bunch of Funko merch. Yeah, he's canon. Also they made a Nightmare Springtrap, which to my knowledge is definitely not canon. But anyways. You could see in that one cutscene right there, where Springtrap emerges out of Fazbear's fright. That's Dark Springtrap. Yeah, I know, it looks like it's normal Springtrap, but trust me, he's dark. Ooh. Also, I think Funko may no longer make FNAF merch or something like that, due to all those leaks and whatnots. I just want to point out, since not many people know, but yeah, I just had to say all that Dark Springtrap stuff. Also, speaking of that, that one cutscene that he's featured in, that's the time when Five Nights at Freddy has gotten super cinematic. Hearing that speech from Michael, and ending up with Springtrap moving and the music going to a thud, that was epic. I remember, that was so hype, I remember those times. Those were fun. Anyways, I'll save the talk about that another time and other Five Nights at Freddy's topic, like my ideal version of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I just say I wanted to make it freaky, uncanny, and some epic emotional moments with some heavily sad moments into it. But that's another video. Thank you, Scott Cawthon, for breaking my shell and letting me enjoy the horror as a genre. That is all the time I have. The exit seems to be on your right and your left. Interesting. Have yourself a groovy day. Bye.